Hello and welcome everyone to Flicker Effect. This is episode 227. We're recording this on Sunday, September 24th, 2017. I am David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hey guys, long time no hear.
Yasha Wilson.
Hey everyone.
And Michelle Curry.
Hello everyone.
What's up guys? It has been a while. Sorry for the...
It's good to hear you guys' voice.
Yeah.
Everybody.
We put out a little bonus kind of update episode last week since we had the little hurricane. So if you're curious to know what the hell happened with us and how those of us here in Orlando fared with the hurricane, just check that episode out. We won't really rehash that here today, but...
It's a quick episode.
Yeah, it's a little 30-minute bonus episode, but everything's fine. We're good.
Yep.
We have power again. We can record a podcast again.
Life has resumed to a somewhat semi-normal normalcy level.
Pretty much.
As normal gets around here, I should say.
Except for the stench around the city. There's a smell.
Yeah.
There's a smell?
So they haven't picked up the debris. So basically, like this happens, everybody pits their debris at the edge of their property on the street in a nice, neat little pile. For the most part, I will say people have been really good about that. I will say it's been interesting to see. So everybody has all their branches and basically rotting wood and rotting leaves and rotting palms are literally been sitting on curbs since the hurricane. So we literally just have rotting nature sitting everywhere.
Rotting nature.
And it's officially creating a smell, because it's just been rotting and they haven't come to pick it up. And I've heard rumors that it might start this week, that actually this week it'll start, which would be lovely because it'd be nice to not smell rotting leaves.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know the details, but I guess a lot of counties and parts of the state are having problems with contracts they've had with contractors who then use subcontractors to actually pick up the debris, and then they're all going to South Florida to make more money down there, and
right,
things are majorly delayed up here in Central Florida, and
Well, it sounds magical, guys. I'm telling you, the whole rotting tree and debris of just.
Don't you just want to visit Orlando?
Come on down. Come see it
sometime.
Like
a magical adventure. It really does. It sounds like a magical forest is what it sounds like.
It
is.
It's lovely. I will say shout out though to the electrical crews because they definitely contracted out. It's funny. I went for a walk the other day and I'm walking. It was the end of the day and it was these 3 electrical trucks going by and they all had little Canadian flags flying. And I'm like, that's right, boys.
Enjoy that little far from this.
I know. I was like, holy shit. They came all the way down from Canada to help us out. I was like, kudos to our Canadian neighbors.
Because the crew that came into this neighborhood was from Missouri. I noticed that, but man, Canada, that's...
No, I know. And they all, not like it was like a flat, it was like a legitimate flag.
Right.
Billowing flag in the wind on all 3 of them at the edge of their
They really want everyone to know. By the way, guys, we made a trek to get our asses down
We drove down from Canada to Florida to help y'all out.
Yeah, make us some cookies while we turn your power back on. Wait, you can't.
You thought you liked Trudeau before this. That dude's
it's
awesome.
Not a big deal, but we came pretty far to help you out. I just want you to know.
Right.
It's not we're here from Canada.
But right. It's been nice to see, basically other states coming down here to help us all out and get us all back up and running because it was quite a mess. But I'll stop my ramble. But I was like, hey, look at that. As far as Canada, now we're in Canada, who knows? But still, shout out. Thank you to our neighbors to the north.
Turn some of our power back on.
Turning our power back on.
Getting things started up for you guys.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, it's been a while, as we just said. I'm sure we've got lots to talk about, so let's get right to it. As always, we like to start off by taking a look at box office numbers. I'm going to change things up a little bit and go backwards. We're going to start at number 10.
Whoa.
I know, man. Things got crazy around here.
Or the hurricane down there has set you all a whack.
Right?
Man.
Sorry.
He has lost his mind.
Number 10 this week was Wind River. In its 8th week in release.
That's still holding on, though, dude. Dang.
About 3 million. Anybody see that?
I don't even know what that is.
Jeremy Renner's in it.
Jeremy Renner and...
oh, yeah, okay.
But you've seen it, Bobby.
Okay. Yes.
How was it?
Look at Bobby.
It's fantastic.
Nice.
It's about this... Jeremy Renner plays this guy who works for the Fish and Wildlife Service, and he's brought in to help investigate a murder of a young girl who's Native American, and it takes place on this Native American grounds, and it's really just kind of like this mystery of who murdered this girl and trying to find them and track them down. And he helps Elizabeth Olsen, who is an FBI agent, to try and find the culprits. And it's really, really great. And it was
fantastic, Bobby.
Yeah, it was directed by Taylor Sheridan, who I don't know if you guys have seen his other work. I'm sure some of you guys did, but he kind of considers this his trilogy, like how Edgar Wright has his Coronado trilogy. This is his trilogy because the other two were Hell and High Water and Sicario, and this is his third one, which is Wind River. And if you like those other two, I'm pretty sure you'll like Wind River because it was really, really great.
David really liked Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water was great.
I did too.
I really liked it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, good, nice, strong review for Wind River. And number 9 was Stronger. And it's this was a new release this weekend. Not too many screens. It's on 574 screens.
Ooh, that's, yeah.
So not a very wide release, but it pulled in about 1.7 million at number 9. I don't think any of us saw that. But
that's the Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's the new Jake Gyllenhaal film
based off of the Boston bombing.
The Boston Marathon.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's still impressive, though. I mean, you got to respect that. Only 500 theaters, and they still broke $1 million. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, that's not very many. Yeah. No. That's pretty awesome.
When you really think about it, it's like, and if it keeps going like that, if it has another strong weekend, it's just going to get a wider release. They'll be like, okay, let's pump this out and put a little bit more out there.
Right. At number 8 was The Hitman's Bodyguard in its 6th week in release with 1.8 million. We've talked about that already in the past. So, but Bobby, I don't think you were on that episode, were you?
No, I was not.
But did you see it?
I have not yet.
Oh, okay.
Bobby. Oh, man. I'm sorry.
At number 7, another new release, Friend Request, new horror film with 2.4 million. I also don't think any of us have seen that one.
I don't think I've even heard of that one. That's what's really kind of like, wow.
A popular college student graciously accepts a social outcast's online friend request, but soon finds herself fighting a demonic presence that wants to make her lonely by killing her closest friends.
It's the same story. Same old story. I've seen it a dozen times.
So. I didn't mind the trailer. It looked like it could be interesting, and it has the girl who is in Fear the Walking Dead. She plays the daughter of the main character, or one of the main characters.
Okay.
And I like her and stuff because she's also was also in the 100 on CW. But yeah, I don't think this movie's gotten great reviews. But I mean, that seems to be par for the course when it comes to most horror movies in general. It's for every good one, there's at least a good dozen bad ones, but it's kind of the way it goes.
Moving on to, what are we at? Number 6 is Mother, in its 2nd weekend release with
that's actually not how you say it, David.
Mother.
There you go.
Sorry.
Exclamation point.
And also with lowercase m for some reason.
Interjections. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I don't know. Sorry. I'm old school.
So I think Bobby saw Mother. And
I did.
I'm going to say it like that from now on.
That's exactly how it needs to be said every time we address that movie.
Or should I say Mother?
Mother!
My wife sitting in the other room going, what in the fuck are they doing in there?
I know she is. She's like, I can just see her like sitting there like on the phone with somebody, and somebody's on the phone with her going, what the fuck did David just ignore that? That's just this normal Sunday night shit. Don't you worry.
Normal Tourette's problems. It's fine. So 3.3 million it pulled in its 2nd week at number 6. Bobby, I believe you saw Mother. What did you think?
I love that you pulled back from the microphone just to do that. That was awesome.
I did see Mother, and it's written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Jennifer
Michelle's
Lawrence.
losing it over here.
I'll be
I
here
heard you say
March
it. I
Day.
heard Yash say it. That's the first time I heard Bobby say it, and then I just lost it. I'm sorry, Bobby. Were you giving a review? I'll shut up now.
I mean, we can laugh about it a little bit more. But yeah, I guess for this movie, people have probably heard the controversy. I said it had Jennifer Lawrence in it, Javier Bardem, Ed Harris is in it, also. And this is a very strange movie. I'll just read the tagline just so people can kind of get at least a concept of what this movie is about. And from IMDb, it says a couple's relationship is tested when uninvited guests arrive at their home, disrupting their tranquil existence. And honestly, I had to chew on this movie for at least a good 2 or 3 days to figure out how I felt about it because there's so much that's going on in it. And what I will say is, if you're going to go see this movie, don't think of it as a horror film, even though it was kind of done that way in the marketing and the trailers. It's really more of I kind of think of it as a think piece and an art house style movie more so than a traditional horror movie. The way it's shot is pretty. It pulls you in because a lot of it is close-ups and perspective from Jennifer Lawrence's character. And it just seems like they have a lot going on with this character because you place yourself into her role or her life because of the way it's shot, and it's quiet and it just starts to ramp up with a lot of different things that happen. But meanwhile, you still feel really connected to her because you feel almost as lost as she does at times because of what's going on. And there's definitely some things in here, imagery and stuff that has had people talking, and even to the point where they've been walking out of the film. And overall, if I had to say, because it seems like people are in the extreme of either you love it or you hate it. Very few have I heard or seen in terms of reviews of anyone in the middle. And I would have to say I kind of fall not in the extreme range of either, but I'm more towards the side of really loving it, but not, I wouldn't use loving it. I would say I really enjoyed it because I was really seeing what Darren's vision of this movie was in the way it was shot, in the way that the look and the style of what this movie was. There's things that happen in the third act that really keep me from saying that I love it, but I think that ultimately I was in this Jennifer Lawrence's character's shoes, and Jennifer Lawrence did a really great job of portraying this character, and I just was pulled in. It was, to me, was more creepy and had a more of a scarier, quiet tone to it than it did in a weird sort of way. But yeah, ultimately, I think this is one that is going to divide a lot of people, and I really wouldn't suggest anyone go out and spend money on it because it could be more than likely you'll fall into that camp of people who really hate it. So it might be one that you just want to wait on instead of going to go spend money on it.
Yeah, it sounds
it's funny that you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it sounds like people are either pro or con it. Like, it's not even like a love situation. It's just you're either down with it or you're not. Like, that just kind of seems how it is.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, and it's funny that you actually say that because my girlfriend's friend, she went to go see the movie, and she emphatically was very, how much descriptive on how much she hated this movie. And I was listening to how she was describing it via text, and I was just like, my God, like, it was brutal how much she was just like against this movie, like ready to go start protesting outside of Paramount. Like, I'm not kidding. She sounded like she really hated this movie. But that kind of intrigued us. Like, my girlfriend she was kind of like, I kind of want to go see this movie now based off of how much she hated this movie. And I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you want to do that, we can definitely do that. But it's just weird.
She'll hate it.
It sounds like, it sounds like that's how people are splitting on it. They either enjoy it or they've just have this passion that is just burning inside of them of how much they hate this movie.
Yeah. I don't even think you'd like it, Yasha, really. Not per se, unless you went into it looking at it how I've sort of described it as, and maybe you might like it, but I mean, it's Aronofsky and he's polarizing. So it's
Right.
like, who knows how you'll feel until you really see it. But if you try to go into it, at least from that perspective, maybe it'll give you a little bit of a insight into what he's going for and can skew your perception of how you watch it. But even then, yeah, it could still be very, very hard to take in.
Okay.
I haven't really read a lot because I've been trying to stay away from it because I'm really curious about this film. But from what I've heard is that basically there's one scene in particular apparently that is very, it's what's really causing a lot of the knee-jerk reactions. Would you agree with that, Bobby?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, overall, there's just a lot of weirdness and
Right.
craziness to the movie. But towards that third act, or not towards, but within the third act, there's, like I said, a ramping up that starts happening, and everything just goes chaotic. And it's within that aspect is where that scene happens. And yeah, people have gotten up and walked out of the theater at that point. And I can see why. It didn't hit me in the same way that it would hit other people, only because I guess maybe I was braced for it in some sort of way, even without knowing what it was.
You kind of were like, oh, there's a scene. We don't know what it is or when it is, but there's a scene that apparently is what's going to trigger it. And I guess it's one of those things where it's like, you know it when it happens. You're like, oh, this is it.
Oh, yeah. You know it when it happens.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Mother is, you've probably
Wait,
heard.
what? What'd you say, David?
Mother is one of the few
Okay.
films that I don't know if you guys have probably heard that one of the few films that has received an F rating from Cinema Score. Cinema Score, they've been around a while. They do exit polls on moviegoers on opening night. And there's only 19 films now that Mother is added to the list that have an F rating. So it's not too hot.
Yeah, it is not doing well in the theater. I have noticed that. Like every article that I have read and seen, it is basically like they're feeling bad almost for Jennifer Lawrence about how bad this movie is doing.
And well, honestly, the thing is too with the Cinema Score thing, it's completely understandable why it would have gotten an F, because one of the major things that Cinema Score is graded upon is how closely the film matches the marketing for the film. And a lot of people thought they were going in to watch a horror movie, and so because of the way the trailers and the marketing has been for it, so it's very untrue to the way that what you think you're going to be getting compared to what you actually see. So if I had been polled and saw the questions like, did this match what your expectations of what you thought you were going
Right.
to, I definitely would have said no as well. So I can see why it would have got an F. They completely failed on that front.
All right. Well, moving on to number 5 this week was in its third week in release, Home Again, with about 3.3 million. Michelle, you have seen Home Again.
I did. I actually just saw it this afternoon. I was holding out on my little chick flick.
How was the new Reese Witherspoon film?
So, well, so here's
It'll be a glowing review.
No,
That is not a good start.
She started off with a like, how do I answer that question?
I guess the best way to kind of.
How was it? And the response is, oh, you want to know?
Well, so I mean, I just saw it this afternoon, so I'm still kind of pulling my thoughts together on it. But and I pulled it up to purchase the ticket, like I saw where it was on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's pretty low. It's in the 30s. So it's obviously not getting great reviews. So, and then I kind of looked further through, and basically it's a big letdown for a lot of people. I guess and this is purely my own opinion, but I feel like there really hasn't been a lot of like rom-com chick flick films that have been out lately. Like there's been a lot of like strong like women comedy films like Girls Night and I'm trying to think of the other one, Rough Night, and Girls Weekend or Girls Getaway. Like there's been a lot of like girl kind of empowerment films, but not like true romance chick flicks. And so I'm wondering if people kind of were like, oh, well, maybe this is what we're going to kind of get, because basically Reese Witherspoon meets a guy at a bar on her 40th birthday, and he's much younger than she is. And she winds up not only taking him back home, but his two buddies. And yeah.
Oh, wait, what? What? Say that again.
I know how that sounds.
Yeah.
She took home him and his two
Go
buddies.
Reese.
I didn't know that was going on in that movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they wind up living in her guest house, the backyard, through a series, kind of just through conversation. Nothing. Anyways, everything's kind of on the up and up. I'll put it that way. So I think everybody kind of went into it thinking, oh, she's getting divorced from her husband, and she meets this guy, and he's much younger than her, and it's going to be kind of like that. And that's really actually not. That's like that portion of the film is actually a very minute portion of the film. And I think that's maybe some of it, and I can tell that the message they're trying to get through in the film, which they kind of hit on a few times, just it's not done in a way that I think the average audience goer wants to have done. And in a way, it's kind of, I don't know, they have a hard time kind of getting the message through, really. And I mean, I can go ahead and say it, like, basically what they're trying to get through is that, people are all brought into our lives for certain reasons at different times for whatever, and you might not even understand what it is at that time, but people come along and they can change you in a way, and you can maybe get a life lesson out of it, and hopefully it's all for the positive. But that, when it comes to love and relationships and friendships and family, it's what you create in your own life. It's what you build in your own life, and you can shape that. It's not just black and white, cut and dry. You find a person, you're with them, that's your person, period. Like, it can be different levels, kind of different things. People fill different gaps. Like, if you look at your friends, they're not all the same. Like, everybody has a different personality. And one friend you go to as a consoling friend, and one person, you're the person that gives them advice. And, everybody kind of fills a little thing. And that's kind of what this is showing her, is realizing, like, it doesn't have to be just this cut and dry definition of family or friendships or love or relationships as a whole. It can be a melding of whatever. And that is kind of the message they're trying to get out, but they just delivered it really it just wasn't done very well. So yeah, that's kind of, and there's moments I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's what's really good. And there's other times I'm like, oh, this is kind of crap. I will say, like, on a heads up, is that I kind of like the way they did this, almost like I can't say like almost like a love note to say Hollywood or LA. It's really more a love note to cinema in a way, and a love note to people that love and appreciate cinema and want that in their life. And I say that because of, Reese Witherspoon's character. Her father was an old director, and these guys that are staying with her, as it turns out, they've put together a film and they're trying to make it in the industry. So it's like, they have a crazy appreciation for her father, and they realize, who she is and who her father is. And so it's like, I don't know, there's like these moments of an homage to, like, realizing the depths of people's passions for this industry, and that, I don't know. And again, like, they touched on that kind of, but then they kind of kept pulling away from it. And then it was like, I don't know, it kind of felt like pick something, find something, like, stick with it, or see that thought process all the way to the end, because it wasn't quite done that way. And the other thing is, like, the film starts with a narration, which makes sense because it's kind of explaining her background a little bit and who her character is. And then there's no more narration. And I'm like, if you're going to do narration, do narration. If you're not, then don't. Like, just this whole, like, starting a narration and then kind of having it and then just letting it trail off completely is like, what the hell? Did you make up your mind? Like, really?
Right.
So yeah, I guess the best thing I can say is my review's mixed. On one side, I actually kind of enjoyed it, but I feel like it misses the mark in how it's executing what it's trying to say. There. Okay. That's cool. That's what I can go with.
All right. Number 4 this week, American Assassin. What?
Before you leave that totally, can I sort of piggyback on what Michelle was saying as far as at least Reese Witherspoon?
Oh, yeah.
So I have not seen that movie, Home Again. That's what it was called, right, Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that, but based on the 5 Emmy Awards that it won this last Sunday, I did start watching Big Little Lies on HBO, which has Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, Shailene Woodley, and Laura Dern. And it's about these women who live in Monterey, California, and a murder happens. And so you're sort of being taken along, trying to see who committed this murder, and all the while sort of learning about these ladies' lives. And it seems to be, I've only seen 2 episodes, but it seems to be anchored through Reese Witherspoon's character
Yeah.
as the main focal point, and she's pretty terrific in it so far in the 2 episodes I've seen. And so far I'm in. I haven't quite seen what the fuss is all about just yet, but it's interesting enough. And it's a limited series, so I don't think it's getting a second season or anything like that. But at least not that I'm aware of. But it's only, I believe, 7 episodes or something like that. So it's a really small commitment. So I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm going to continue watching it, and I'll let you know how it is once I finish.
No, I'm really glad to hear that you picked that one up because I really loved that. I was very impressed with the show, the way it was done. The performances were all very strong performances by all the actresses and actors that are in it. David, I think did you finish it?
No, not yet. I think we talked about it that episode that Bobby you missed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because I had brought up pretty much basically kind of what you're saying, Bobby. Like I think we were talking about Reese Witherspoon about something.
Yeah.
And so Reese Witherspoon is an actress. Like she's fine. I have never like particularly had like a thing for Reese Witherspoon as an actress. She's, I don't know, never been a huge fan, but I've been really impressed with her in Big Little Lies. And there's something about her in that show that I feel like it's her best work. So I like the show, but no, I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah. We both agreed on that. I said it's probably that and Walk the Line are probably her crowning achievements for her acting career. I would say thus far, for sure.
Well, she was great in Walk the Line. I haven't seen Big Little Lies yet, but based off of your guys talking about it, I probably will take the time sooner or later to give it a shot.
Yeah, you need to jump on that one. I hope David finishes it up soon, and I hope Bobby you keep with it because it's pretty. It goes pretty quick. Like it's good. It very quickly you'll start getting pulled in. I think a little more. I feel like it's good, and the first 2 episodes you're kind of feeling the formatting, you're kind of feeling out the storyline and the way they're pulling it together. But it definitely, it's excellent, and I recommend that show for anyone to watch on HBO for sure.
All right, number 4 this week was American Assassin, and its second week in release had 6.3 million. I don't think any of us saw that.
No,
I really wanted to. That's definitely one that I want. Oh yeah, I'm interested in seeing it. I like Michael Keaton, and it looks like a fun movie. Like, I mean, just an action-packed type of movie. So I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Dylan O'Brien. Taylor Kitsch is okay, but I like Sinai Lathan a lot. So I'm looking forward to it. The only reason I didn't get a chance to see it before is I was out of town when it first came out, and we know how that goes. When you miss a movie when it first comes out, sometimes it doesn't get seen until it comes on video.
Right.
Yeah, no, I get that. At number 3 was another new release, the Lego Ninjago movie.
Ninjago!
Which didn't pull in as much as I think was expected by the studio. It pulled in about 21 million. At number 3, I don't think any of us saw that. I don't think any of us had a really huge desire. As much as I've liked the Lego movies so far, Ninjago is not a property I'm familiar with. But I will say, like, when I saw the trailer, and I don't know anything about Ninjago, and I watched the trailer, I thought it was entertaining. I was like, I would see this. I'm probably not going to see it in the theater, but I could watch this.
It's probably their lowest grossing one, right, thus far, for the official like Lego films, because it was the Lego movie. What was the next one? What was that? Lego Batman? No.
Lego Batman.
Yeah. There's something else. Wasn't
Yeah,
there?
and debuts in third place. That's not a good start.
Right.
Yeah. It has a kids movie too.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ninjago has a huge following among kids. I think it's a pretty popular Lego property, but I think a lot of us who, even though we love Lego, are like, Ninjago? What's Ninjago?
Yeah.
Should I care about Ninjago?
Do I care about Ninjago?
Yeah. Like I've been to the Lego theme park here in Orlando, and it's like they have a whole Ninjago area, and I'm like, oh, Ninjago's the thing, I guess. Okay. I don't know.
Sure.
Sure.
Awesome.
Anyway, number 2 this week in its third week in release was It, pulling in 30 million. It's bringing its total gross up to 266 million.
Damn.
Someone's happy about it. Someone who I think has been excited about seeing it for a while, Yasha.
You think?
What'd you think about It?
I would like to formally apologize for not writing about this and posting on it on the site, because it has been on my to-do list, but with everything going on, I've been really busy and I haven't been able to chance to sit down and do that. So I am sorry, but I will definitely do this. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was very well done, down to the creepiness of the clown, the special moments that you wanted to see. Everybody knew that Georgie was going to get it when the movie first started, and it's still, they managed to give you that surprise. Bill Skarsgård did an excellent job as Pennywise. I mean, the movie was just really good. You wanted more of it. It really also took a look at the bullying aspect that I don't think many people expected. I dragged a buddy of mine to see the movie, and he is not a horror movie guy, did not want to go see this movie, but he wanted to hang out. And I was like, well, this is what I'm doing, so you can come and do this. And he was like, wasn't on board. But when he saw it, he was like, you know what, I'm actually really glad that you took me to see this. We went and did this because this was a lot of fun. The movie was really cool. The bullying aspect of it and then how they examined it, it was really, really well done. The unity of people that are kind of social outcasts. It was really well done. It was a good movie. I think they cut out the parts that they needed to from the book, and they kept it to.
Okay.
Here we are.
They kept it in it, and it did well. I mean, it was. I loved it. I was bummed that when it ended, and I can't wait to see the second one.
Nice. Bobby, you also saw, right?
I did.
What'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I maybe didn't love it as much as Yasha, but there's nothing really bad about it that you could say. I would say, I guess from my standpoint, the only things I would ding it on is that it didn't feel overly scary to me. It's creepy enough in the way that you see Pennywise. And I think the strong parts and strong points of this movie are the relationship between the kids, because they shine through really, really well, especially Finn Wolfhard. I really enjoyed him as his character because he seemed to get a lot of the best jokes and best lines. And he was the same guy who is also in Stranger Things, the young kid in Stranger Things. And
yeah, he was fantastic.
He was just really, really good. And I think that their dynamic worked really well. And also, just like Yasha mentioned, there's more aspects and there's things that, as scary as Pennywise is, there's things in your life growing up that can be just as scary, if not scarier, because they're more real in your face, like bullying. And so you get that aspect of it as well. And I just thought they did a really good job of portraying that. And it does make you feel like you are ready to see the sequel as soon as you walk out of it because of the good job that they did with this one. It was just very solid from start to finish. Andy Muschietti, I believe, is the director. He did such a masterful job of really being able to take this movie and this dense book and break it down into this being the version where you just see the kids, and then the next movie would be with the adults. But I guess the plan now is that we'll still see these kids because they'll flash back to them as their younger age as well in the new movie, which I don't think they were planning to do, but based on the popularity of what it has done and the kids that are in it, they want to do that now. And so I think it'll help benefit from that because of the kids and their chemistry was so strong. So now the hunt is on for who the actors will be that will play the older versions of these characters. So it'll be pretty interesting to keep your eye on that as well, just to see who they get to play these characters as their adult versions. But overall, it's very, very solid. Obviously, lots of people think so as well because it's doing so well in the theaters. And I really think that for most people, it scratched that itch. And one of I forget where I saw it online, but somebody described it in a really good way as saying it's sort of like Goonies meets Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's like, yeah, you can kind of see that. And
yeah, that's a pretty fair description. You would say not totally like that, but I can see where they're coming from when it comes to that.
Yeah, totally. But if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you go see it if it's on your radar.
What kills me about it, though, it's like, I'm going to jump in one more time here, is that what I loved about reading this movie when it first started, to come out the weekend that it was coming out, it was tracking for, they said, 50 million or something to that effect, and it cleared like 100 million its first weekend. Like they weren't even close to expecting it to be as successful as it was. It reminded me of Wonder Woman. You know, they wanted it to succeed, and they were hoping that it would succeed because they hadn't even. But with this, it's like they hadn't even really greenlit the sequel yet. They were like, well, we're hoping that it does well enough that we go ahead and we put the sequel out there, and we're going to do this. And Lionsgate was getting on board with that and wanting to do it, or Warner Brothers, excuse me. And I don't think they were prepared for it to be as successful as it was and do it as well as it was and be as well received as it was. But they're stoked because by the end of the weekend, they had greenlit it, and they're like, we're starting on the scripts now. We're just starting to look at who we're going to have for actors and everything to that effect. And it was, you know, it was kind of fun to watch that, you know, that kind of panic. They're like, oh shit, this is doing really well. We got to get on top of this.
Yeah, that came out the weekend of our hurricane, so I missed it. And I had a good opening weekend. It had a record-breaking $123.1 million opening, which broke a record for September. I think it broke a record for the fall. I think it broke a record for R-rated horror film, not to mention largest opening weekend for a horror film of any MPAA rating. So yeah, it's been doing quite well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I find that amazing too. Is I'd be really curious to see what box office numbers were like for that weekend in the state of Florida.
Right.
I mean, sure, I'm sure there's people in Florida that went to movies that weekend, but I mean, for the most part, all of us were running around like chickens with our heads cut off. We were all like, "Oh my God, death is coming!"
Oh no! It was like the men of the apocalypse were coming for us.
Yes.
Like it was the end of days around here. Like. So I'm sure people did go on Thursday night or Friday and maybe even Saturday, but I know for a fact not one soul went out Sunday, mostly because most of the theaters were closed, I'll be honest.
So, I mean, I couldn't even go to Home Depot to get any more supplies on Sunday. They were closed.
Right. Like it was done. Like the town was dead. So I mean most of the state was dead Sunday. So I mean, I'm sure people went in the state of Florida on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I'm sure if you compared it to basically every other state, it's probably drastically lower.
And I mean, the state of Florida, it's got to be a pretty big market for, you know, in part of the country. I mean, to think that if the hurricane hadn't been hitting, what number it would have hit.
Right. I mean, it's a pretty populous state. It's definitely in the top. I want to say we're in the top like 15 of populous states.
Yeah. So
like we're populated.
But yeah, and like you said, since I didn't see it opening weekend, it's like now I'm playing catch up because of the hurricane, trying to like, fuck, I missed this movie. I've really got to see some stuff, and I really want to see it. But we'll see if I. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of it, David. I mean, I can't rave enough about it. I thought it was a fantastic film. I think Bill Skarsgård? No, that's his brother.
No, it's Bill Skarsgård.
Is it Bill Skarsgård?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. I think he did it. He was very creepy, and to me, that's what the character is, you know, needs to be. And he did a phenomenal job as Pennywise.
Yeah, that Skarsgård family.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh.
All right.
I was just laughing because I was thinking of a scene in the movie where, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but you ever see those old cartoons when the cartoon character is super hungry and he looks at his buddy like a piece of meat or something because he's so hungry.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how like Pennywise would look at the kids sometimes, and it's just so funny that like he has this look on his face like, dude, your mouth's wide open, you might want to close that.
Yeah, like drooling, like literally.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's a fun fact for you when you do see the movie. There are parts when they do close-ups on Pennywise and his eyes start to drift apart and get like lazy. One of them's just kind of like, and he looks crazy. That's not special effects. That's literally Bill Skarsgård making his eye go a different direction. Like that's legitimately him. I read that in an article and saw an interview with him where he talked about it too. So he's doing that crazy look with his eyes and stuff. That's not special effects. That's legitimately him acting and just deciding to have his eye go in a different direction.
Well, that brings us to the number one film of the weekend, and that is a new release, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. This is, of course, the sequel to Kingsman. What was it? The Secret Service, I believe, was the full title of the first movie. a movie that I think we all enjoyed quite a bit. I think we were all pretty happy with. I think most people were pretty happy with. I don't know what kind of Rotten Tomatoes scores it had and all that jazz, but it was a pretty well received movie.
Yeah.
Directed by Matthew Vaughn. He also wrote and directed this film as well. I think we all saw this film as well. Michelle, you grabbed the Bolt of Destiny there. Do you want to use that or?
Well, it was just a thought. I was like, wow, it's the one film all four of us have seen. We could really shake it up around here. The bull, as much of a bitch as she is to me, hasn't been used in a while.
I know, she's been neglected.
She has been very neglected, which means basically I'm screwed now.
Yeah, you are.
So yeah, why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
You guys down with this, Bold Destiny?
Go for it.
It really doesn't matter if you're not down with it. It's happening. So I mean, I'm asking, but really I'm not asking. Oh, do it again, Yasha.
The Bowl of Destiny.
Yes. All right, and Bobby,
Yeah.
you get to go first.
Okay. Let's see. What should I'm trying to think of. Usually David goes and starts talking about who's in it and who directed it, but I guess I'll just sort of say from the top of my head that it's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who directed the first one, and he also directed Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. And some of the people in the movie, we got Julianne Moore. Who else is in there?
Bridges, Channing Tatum.
There you go. And
all those good people.
Taylor,
Mark Strong.
Yeah.
Was it Taron? Is that his?
Taron Edgerton.
He plays Eggsy.
Yes.
He's
Pedro
Eggsy.
Pascal.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the assist. So obviously, like you said, David, a lot of us really loved that first movie. It was kind of came out of nowhere. It was based on a comic book, and they really took the concepts of this spy genre based on what we've seen so many years with James Bond, and kind of flipped it on its head because it was like playing with those tropes and doing it in such a different way and fresh way. And it was just so nice. And you really get to experience this kid coming of age and becoming part of this larger organization that he wasn't aware of. And you just get ingrained in his relationship with his friends and his family, also with his relationship that he gets with Colin Firth. And that becomes this whole aspect of the movie, along with the spy stuff. And in this sequel, I guess the best way I would describe it for me coming out of it was it was kind of hollow. There's lots of great action set pieces to it. There's a lot of different things going on in the movie, but I think that I was hoping for a little bit more of a callback to the original, where it just felt a little bit more like it was playing with the tropes in a way that was kind of clever and interesting. And this just more or less seemed like it was just filled full of action. And the action itself, while in certain ways definitely good, it just felt a little too CGI for me and just kind of pulled me out of it a lot of times because of the different things that they were doing. And the villain that we get with Julianne Moore, I didn't like as much as I like Samuel L. Jackson's villain from the first one. So there's aspects of it that I thought were good. Don't get me wrong. If you go see this movie, I think you'll enjoy it for what it is. But I think at the same time, I can't help but compare it to the first one because of how much I enjoyed the first one. And this one just fell short for me. If it was any other kind of thing, maybe just walking to it fresh for the first time, I could see like, oh, that was a blast. That was a lot of fun. It was just action, from start to finish, and it would have been great. But knowing what I got with that first one, it just felt like a step down. So I really didn't, unfortunately, enjoy it as much as I had hoped I would going into it. But it happens sometimes, and Matthew Vaughn is still supposed to be on the third one, and I assume based on what they're doing with this one, it should still be able to have a sequel. And hopefully it'll hit all the different buttons that I'm hoping for and was hoping for with this second one. But that's how it goes sometimes. I think it's still worth seeing. It's a lot of spectacle to go see in the theater. If you want something that's action right now, that's sort of your best bet. And other than that, it's just maybe not as good to me as the first one was.
Yeah, it actually did better in its opening weekend than the original did.
Not by much, but yeah.
Not by a ton. I mean, I'm saying that, but
No,
yeah,
just
I mean, yeah, this one is what, 39?
Oh yeah, I don't even know if I said a number. Did I?
I don't think you did.
It's 39 million.
Yeah, and then the original
36,
was
I
at
think.
36.2 according to Box Office Mojo.
Not a huge gain for a sequel that.
But still, most sequels don't even get gains.
I don't know.
Well, okay, I'm saying that. I feel like this film, I was surprised, I will say, with this film, that this got a gain. Because I was thinking it'd probably either break even or get less. So for the fact that it gained, I'm like, I'm genuinely surprised. And it's a good thing, but still, it's like, wow, I wouldn't guess that. Maybe I'm alone on that. Never mind. Back to the Bowl of Destiny.
Bowl
of Destiny. It's you, David.
Hey, it's me. Okay. Yeah, I was a big fan of the first movie. I did not like this movie that much. I'm just gonna jump right in there and say it.
Say it. Own it. Love it.
I'm gonna say that though, as on the whole, the movie overall, I'm gonna have to say I'm not a fan. With that said, it's unfortunate because once the second half of the movie really kicks in, it's like, oh, this was the movie I was kind of wanting.
Right.
I mean, for me, it was like the first half of the movie. I gotta say, I was bored. I was really bored. I was kind of done. I almost was like, you know what? I could almost leave and be like, I'm good. Like, this is not very good. I was not entertained at all by the first half of the movie.
Which I don't think you usually are not. You're not a walkout person.
No, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have walked out. I mean, I'm going to give it its chance. This isn't a movie, considering how much I like the first movie. I'm like, okay, I'm going to at least sit through this. I'm just saying, if it, all other things aside, and then maybe I'd have been like, I could walk out and be all right with this because this doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. And then it gets to a point where it feels like the actual kind of plot kind of kicks in, without revealing spoilers, and it's like, okay, now this is working. And then we started getting action set pieces that I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, the action set piece on the skylift. Like, I liked that whole part of the film a lot. And for the most part, the second half of the movie I actually enjoyed, but I have to say overall, it's just like, nah, this is not very good.
Too little, too late.
Nah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't enough to completely save it. I mean, even the final, set piece was good, but it wasn't great. It was fine, I guess. And yeah, Julianne Moore's villain is, I don't know, interesting. I don't know about you guys, but like, I found myself as, like, especially the first few scenes we see her in, the way Julianne Moore is portraying this character, I was like, dude, this feels like this would have been a perfect casting for like a Drew Barrymore. Like, it felt like Drew Barrymore a lot.
That's a good idea.
Oh, I like that.
She just, the way she was acting was like, this feels like she's acting like Drew Barrymore in a lot of Drew Barrymore's movies. I don't know. It's just funny to me, but.
No, I totally see that. That would have actually, I mean, and no offense to Julianne Moore, that would have been a better casting. Shit.
But, yeah, I don't know. It just, it was pretty disappointing. And I can't help but feel like it's yet another example of, I wish another director had done this. Like, and knowing that Matthew Vaughn is at least interested in wanting to do a third, I'm like, I kind of wish we could
like, maybe writing it I'd be down with, but directing maybe not.
Yeah, no. I overall I'm still a fan of Matthew Vaughn, and sure, he's a great director, but this is his first kind of miss for me. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with this whatsoever. It's a big disappointment. So that's all I really got.
Back to the bowl. The bull chooses me.
And now, Kingsman, the first film, that was your number one film of the year that year, wasn't it?
It was. And I mean, you guys kind of laughed at me and thought I was crazy, but I think when
it's a good movie. But
I think when I explained why it was my number one, you guys were like, oh, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. And one, I just thought it was a good movie. I thought it was actually just done well. I thought the story was told in a really great way. And it was a film that I felt, because it came out at the beginning of the year. I want to say it was a February or March release.
I think it was, yeah.
And then it came out, in the summer to release, whatever, like late summer. And it's funny, just between the time it came out on, released onto disc or, download or whatever, between that time and the time that we recorded our top 10 show for that year, it's a film that I had watched multiple times at that point. And I was like, it's just, and every time I found myself entertained by it, and I was very happy with it. And it just made me happy. At the end of that year, I was just like, it's the one film I can look back on that all year long, I've been very happy with this film on repeated viewings. And so, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with that film. Having said that, this misses the mark for me. I will say that going into this film, as previews were kind of piling in before the release of this, I would see new trailers come out, and I felt like with every new trailer, I kept going, oh God, are they just going to over the top it too much and just really jump the shark? And that was my biggest fear, was that going into this film, I was going to be like, this is just going to be too much, and it's just going to really annoy me. They're going to just not just push the envelope, they're just going to go way the hell over it, and it's just going to be annoying for 2 hours, and I'm just going to be pissed. And I will say, to the credit, it didn't do that to that extent for me. Thank God. I think if it had, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm done with this. I mean, yeah, that the point of this genre that they're kind of doing, this play on it, is to push the envelope and to make things a little bit silly and to laugh at itself. And so I'm glad they pushed it to where it needed to go. I don't think they overdid it at really, maybe like one or two little jokes were kind of a little bit, I was kind of like, really? We had to go there? But overall, that did not shy me away from the film. I'm with David on the whole, I feel like there's a moment in the film that when this moment happens with the villain, I'll say it, that's when the movie really starts. And that's when I'm like, yeah, now we're getting the film I want. And then even after seeing the entirety of the film, I feel like there's literally, it could have been better if they cut out certain things. And then I feel like there's certain scenes that if it had been moved to a different time frame in the film, would have made a more interesting storytelling. Like just the way the villain was revealed, I don't know. Things just kind of seemed like they were edited together in a way that just made the movie drone on, and you're kind of like, get to the point already. And that's how I felt with David for most of the first portion of the film. It was just like, okay, when are we gonna, yeah, okay. And you're just waiting for it, and thank God it finally showed up, because I was kind of getting to the point of like, wow, this is really just kind of going nowhere.
Right. And
I mean, there's a major aspect of the whole story that quite honestly could be cut out for me. And I can't even talk about it because it's a big spoiler, but it really doesn't even need to exist for me.
Well, I'll say, and to kind of jump in, and maybe this is what you're hinting at, I don't know. I mean, it's not a spoiler that Colin Firth's character is in this movie. I mean, we all know from the trailers that
that's true.
Harry's in the film.
That's true.
And I will agree that, basically that first half of the movie, it's all playing setup for the second half of the film. And a big part of that setup is, well, we got to find a way to explain, why is Colin's first character in the film again? And I found myself, I have to say, going, I mean, sure, I love Colin Firth as an actor. I love that character. I loved him in that first movie. And sure, it's exciting. Oh, cool. I'd love to see him back. But you know what? He died in the first movie, and I'm kind of good with that. I don't think he needed to be in this.
I fully agree. I mean, that was really kind of, I'm with you. I love Colin Firth. He's actually one of my absolute favorite actors right now in this generation of actors that we have. I love him. And as much as I loved the character of Harry in the first film, and I was in the theater, he died, and I was like, holy shit, that just happened? I mean, it was shocking to me, watching it the first time, I was shocked. And it's still kind of, I think even the second viewing was kind of like, damn, man, they killed him.
Right.
But I moved on from that, and I'm just watching it this whole time going, this just isn't necessary for the storyline. It just wasn't. It really wasn't. There's another character that I think would have been much better suited to hang out with Eggsy throughout the entirety of the film.
Yep.
And I feel like that would have been a much interesting draw for me. And the way they went just didn't do it for me. So this is a big miss for me. It's a B- on Cinema. What was it? Cinema. I forgot what the website was. Yeah, Cinema Score. It's a B-. And I feel like that's pretty high.
Right.
I feel like this could have been a C-, quite honestly. Easily. I think they're giving it a little too much credit. So yeah, that's my ramblings. And now it is time for Yasha.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's just like put a bullet in my brain. Yay.
yeah, you have completely, are going to go against everything that I was going to say for this film, because the first thing that I wanted to say was, if you enjoyed the first one, you'll probably like the second one. Now, after listening to you guys, how much you enjoyed the first one and you dislike this one, I don't know what to say anymore.
Oh no.
Now, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. It was easy to watch. I actually saw it on an IMAX screen, which was a bit much because the action scenes were a little over the top. I did find it was missing a little bit some of the magic that Samuel L. Jackson brought to the villain from the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't enough Julianne Moore, or maybe it was just the way that she was playing the character, but I think she should have been either in it a little bit more. I really like the idea of having Drew Barrymore cast in that villain role. Like, that would have been really kind of cool, because you're right, she's acting almost like Drew Barrymore the entire movie when you really think about it. I'm with you when it comes to having Colin Firth back. I think he's a fantastic actor. I loved him in the first one. I thought it was a fantastic addition, and the way that he played that role was killer. And having him back was kind of fun, but there are other actors that he could have played off of, like you said, Eggsy could have played off of, that I think would have made the story a little bit more interesting and a lot more fun to watch. They didn't need to bring him back. I think Pedro Pascal is an amazing actor. He's one of the main actors of the film as well.
Yes.
And I think I wanted to bring him up just because I just got done watching him in Narcos season 3, and the guy is across the board so talented to be able to just drop accents here and change his accent and his dialect and all that stuff. He's fantastic. I can't wait to see more from this guy.
Am I the only one who thinks he looks like a young Burt Reynolds?
No.
I mean, in this film, for sure, I can kind of see that. Sure. I mean, he's got the stash going. I said hell yeah on that.
And the smile, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There is one thing that I didn't think that they needed to have in this film, and I was actually kind of surprised that they did and made it such a prominent part of the film, and I'm just going to say it. I don't think they needed to have his love interest, Princess Tilde, come back and be a part of this film. Like, that just seemed off, if you know. Like,
no, dude, you're preaching the choir on that one. I agree with you.
It didn't feel like it felt forced, and they just wanted to kind of add a extra part of his drama to his life, or maybe add something that would be attached, because in the first one he was attached to his mom and his little sister, and they were in threat, so maybe that was why they brought her back. But the whole dynamic of having her be such a prominent role in the film just didn't work for me in the long run. After reflecting and really thinking about it, I just think that she was just kind of there, and it's kind of unfortunate because I felt like that slowed the movie down quite a bit and kind of put the brakes on it. Aside from that, I mean, I wish that it was as fun as the first one. The action was a lot of fun. The fight scenes were really over the top. I'd be really interested in seeing learning how they did some of the fight scenes, because they were so up close and personal and in your face. The movie was okay. It was enjoyable. I did like it. And I will probably consistently tell people that, hey, if you like the first one, then you'll probably like the second one, even though you guys are completely proving that wrong right now. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very easy watch, and it was kind of a fun movie, and I had some cheap laughs, and I got to see some cool action, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the next one, because they really set it up for a third. So I hope that the movie keeps doing well in the theater so that we get that third movie.
Right. I mean, and it might do just that, honestly, because it's already debuted higher than the other one, and they're saying if it keeps up with the similar pacing, that it will still wind up outdoing domestic gross what the other one did. So and that's what Box Office Mojo said.
That's a hard call, though.
Well,
because I don't think this one scored as high in terms of what people were coming out of the theater about the first one compared to this one. So it might take a decent dip in that second week. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I'm just quoting what Box Office Mojo was saying. They were just saying if it kind of keeps a similar track, it could, what did they say? So it said domestically, the original, where did that line go? I lost it. I can't find it now. Anyways, they basically said it pulled in X amount of money. Oh, they said, so the original, have it. Okay, so it said the original pulled in $128 million domestic run, which is a 3.54 multiplier. Should Golden Circle follow suit, if it basically does the same thing the other one did, we're talking about a 138+ million domestic run. So in essence, for it to pull more than the original, yeah, a third would be in the works. That would be stupid of a studio to not do that.
Right. But I could see, this is going to have probably a bigger drop off.
And it probably will.
I mean, you look at next weekend, it doesn't have huge competition next weekend. We have American Made coming out and Flatliners. Mm-hmm. But then, the following weekend, Blade Runner drops. So, at that point, I think you could probably say forget it.
Once Blade Runner's here, dude, that's like officially fall for me.
That's your point when you get your pumpkin spice latte. And
And I've had it technically, kind of. No, like for me, I'm totally an egocentric human being, completely. My head is huge. I'm amazed I go through doorways sometimes. But for me, fall is my birthday. That's when fall starts. Shocking. So, and that's that same weekend is Blade Runner. So for me, I'm kind of like, that's fall. Blade Runner is fall. We're officially in fall. Yay, fall movies. Woot woot. Like, nice. That's my egocentric, sad human. Anyways, so yeah, it's me. I love fall, and Blade Runner is going to be awesome, and I'm super excited. And done.
So, that's our Kingsman The Golden Circle review. Woo! And that's our top 10 box office numbers. We're obviously going on already a little long. But I still want to do a couple things before we get out of here, obviously. Ooh. And we have to finish off with our I Challenge You segment, which...
oh, that's right.
Yes. Right.
Oh, it's delicious this week, too. And it's a kickoff to Halloween in a way, honestly.
It kind of is,
the season. We're getting into the season. 'Tis the season.
But we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure some of us have maybe watched some other things we want to talk about, and we might have time to get to that. But before we do that... we haven't really talked about any news in a while, and we also haven't done a show in a while. And I don't know. I'd like to take the time to maybe, if any of us have a news item that is dropped in the past couple weeks that we kind of want the opinion of everyone else on, please feel free to bring it up. And I'll start off with what I feel like has probably been the big one, at least for a while, and that's the Star Wars Episode 9 directing news. As you've probably heard by this point, Colin Trevorrow is no longer directing Episode 9. J.J. Abrams is. He is back, and he's going to direct Episode 9 of Star Wars. He, of course, directed Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And I'm just curious to know what everyone thinks about that. Bobby, I'm going to go to you first.
I'm fine with it. I'd say on the whole of it. Because I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, and I'm not one of those people who loved it at first and then started to sort of downgrade it after some time and thought and stuff like that. Most people's argument seems to be that it just was a rehash of A New Hope, which there's definitely elements of it there, but I don't agree in terms of it being just a rehash. And there's a lot of new elements that he added that I thought really, really worked. And I have no issues with JJ in terms of my things that I've seen that he's done. So I have no reason to doubt that he will be able to bring this home and make a good ending for this trilogy. The only trepidation I have with it is that I wouldn't have mind seeing some new blood in there, and just to see what someone else could bring to the table as well, because I'm sure there's other people. But I get the fact that Lucasfilm is probably a little gun shy right now with everything that they have going on with all their other films, like the Han Solo, which, by the way, how is it that we still don't know the name of that actual movie? They still just keep calling it Han Solo Untitled Film. Yeah. But but the fact that...
Fair question, Bobby. It's a very fair question.
They've had so many problems. I can understand why they want to go to someone that they have had to in the past, that they know that they can be able to rely on. And obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but if anyone had been following the news, they would know that essentially it was one of those things where there seemed to be a list of people that maybe was going to get to make it but it seems as though the first person on the list was Ryan Johnson, but he just was maybe exhausted from making this last one to not really want to go and do this one. So obviously you could see where JJ would be next up on the list because he did the Force Awakens. And so I'm overall happy with the choice because I do believe that he will give us a good movie, but there's a caveat that just says that I wouldn't have mind seeing someone else give it a crack as well.
Agreed.
So yeah, Yasha, any extra thoughts on that?
No, Bobby pretty much hit all the points that I was really thinking as well. So I mean, it's really weird how that happens a lot. More times than not, Bobby will say something like, well, I have nothing to add.
Damn it, he said it already.
Yeah, it's like I can echo everything that you want to hear. I mean, that we said, but that just seems redundant at this point. So, no, I'm kind of with Bobby. I think it would have been fun to see a different director take on the point. My concern is with JJ. He has to come up with a different type of movie this time. It's not going to be. I mean, because when you really think about it, people poke fun at the first Star Wars that we got when he did it. It was kind of like watching the first one all over again from the 77, kind of the same principle, everything going along the lines of that. He really hit on a lot of points that we felt from the first one. So this next one that he's going to do, it has to be original. It has to be, something that we haven't seen or I haven't seen or, people haven't, story-wise in regards to carrying the Star Wars story forward. Now, maybe David, since you're a real Star Wars head, something that I don't about the stories that are coming, but I don't. So I'm hoping for something original and something a lot of fun. So it's kind of that where we're at.
Michelle, any thoughts?
I mean, great minds think alike. I agree. I have absolutely nothing against JJ. I actually really love him a lot. I'm always happy with what I see from him. For the most, I mean, if I really were to sit here and be like, am I overall happy with him? Yeah, totally.
100%. I agree.
But with this film, I feel like a fresh blood would have been awesome. I really feel like it. I don't know. Different eyes, different take on it. I totally agree with what Bobby and Yasha said.
Yeah, I guess
maybe even like a different nostalgic perspective too. Like we've seen what JJ does when he comes to his nostalgic feelings when it comes to his characters in this movie and stuff like that. We got that, and we'll see that from Ryan Johnson in less than 6 months now. So we've got that. So to have somebody else come in that maybe was a huge Star Wars fan and be like, oh, I'm so excited to be on this and I can't wait to show you what I envision when it comes to the fight scenes or the spaceship battles and all that other stuff. And just to see that move forward, it would have been really cool to see that. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're all in agreement. I feel the same way. I'm pretty happy with the J.J. Abrams pick. In a perfect world, I probably would have been happier with maybe somebody new. I don't have anybody in particular in mind. I'm good with Abrams. I like Force Awakens a lot. I also agree I don't fall in the camp that loved Force Awakens, but then in hindsight kind of starts to downgrade it. I haven't really downgraded it at all. Nope. I'm still quite happy with it. Nope. I mean, I understand some of the thoughts people have and the complaints, but I don't know. I guess I'm just okay with it because it's just such a good movie. It's just so well done and the story is so well told. I'm good with it. So.
I have to say, Nerdist News did a thing on it the other night, and basically, what we're all saying is what's being echoed out in the world. Like, everybody's cool with it, but at the same time, New Blood would have been better. But at the same time, I guess this is what's happening. So everybody's kind of down with it. But it seems to be general consensus out in the world of geekdom of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Any other news items anybody has that I'm forgetting? I felt like kind of the big one. I was kind of curious to know what everyone thought.
Yeah, I feel like that was the big one.
Yeah, I was going to say that's most definitely the biggest one. I can't, off the top of my head, I didn't know if we were going to discuss any new stuff, so I didn't really think of anything specific that might be worth mentioning. Other than, I guess, and really that's almost another show in and of itself, but the stuff that had been going on with the DC EU and the whole Joker stuff. Well, you know what? I don't know if you guys did talk about that on the show that I missed.
No, we did not.
Okay, but yeah, like I said, that's a can of worms.
Oh, DC and Warner Brothers.
Shocking.
we won't go down that road, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was
We
just
don't
curious.
need to open that door.
Yeah.
Let's not start talking about what DC's doing and not doing. Let's just not.
But I've got my Wonder Woman Blu-ray. I'm quite happy with it. So
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit. I feel like I should have spent the extra like $5 and got the same thing you did.
the book.
Yes.
I like the Target book.
I like the book.
I like it because
He's pulling it out, by the way. I'm going to narrate what's happening.
the Man of Steel one's the same way. I like it.
Oh, okay. So now let me clarify. So you've been starting a steelbook thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
But for these, you're going book. But I will say they're pretty awesome.
They're pretty sweet, right?
Dude.
Like they got a little book inside with
Damn.
art and everything in it, and yeah, I don't know. I still like buying Blu-ray discs. Call me
do
crazy.
too. No, when it's a movie I want to physically own it and then have the digital copy. I want both.
Yeah, 'cause
I
that's
want
the nice
to
thing.
You
live
are
the
crazy,
world.
David.
I am or I'm not.
You are crazy.
Oh, well,
Because you still like buying Blu-ray, and in this day and age, I bought the 4K version of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So you're crazy for buying Blu-ray instead of 4K.
Well, I don't have 4K.
I was gonna say that's a ways away down my road in my future.
And Guardians of the Galaxy too. That's a whole nother discussion.
But yeah, no, dude.
Talking
I
about
mean,
downgrading.
Yeah.
There was a Wonder Woman 2 4K version.
No, there was.
No,
Because
there
trust
was.
me. So
You could have future-proofed it.
on the Steelbook thing, I don't know. I like buying Blu-ray discs, and I like the Steelbooks. And
No,
usually
it's been your thing lately.
You can buy Steelbooks at a lot of places. A lot of times, Best Buy will have the exclusive Steelbooks, and I'll end up having you got to get it the day of, and they'll sell out of the Steelbooks the day it releases. And I got the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Steelbook, which by the way I don't like the way it looks, but I bought it anyway.
Because that's your new thing.
Because I had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 in Steelbook, so I'm like, I've got to have this one in Steelbook too.
That's what I want to do.
But I'm like, it's kind of ugly. And that happened with Wonder Woman. I looked up their Wonder Woman Steelbook, and I'm like, it's ugly. I'm like, no.
But even the regular version, like I bought the regular version, and I will admit, like Tuesday morning, I basically woke up, took a shower, threw on clothes, and I went and bought my Wonder Woman that morning. I was at Target before 10 a.m. and I was buying Wonder Woman. That happened. I was all over that. Anyways. I will say that like the cover for the regular version that everybody else probably owns if they actually bought it instead of just digital downloading it is I don't like it. She's covering half her face with her arm and I'm like I get it. I just don't like it. I'm like, no, I don't. No.
Yeah.
Really? You're just gonna cover up half of Gal Gadot's beautiful, beautiful face? That seems stupid to me. What marketing idiot was behind this decision? Oh, fire him. Fire him yesterday. That was just dumb. Dumb.
So
Sorry.
yeah, I went with the Target exclusive, which is this book.
And
I
it's
like
lovely.
It.
It's
And then
really
it's
pretty
funny when I
looking.
saw it. I'm like, oh, that's right. My Man of Steel is just like that. That'll be perfect. So,
You have a matching little set going on there.
little matching set. I don't know
How
if they.
does your Dawn of Justice look?
Yeah, I don't have one of those. never
about-
bought that one.
Are you going to get the same thing for the Spider-Man Homecoming?
Steelbook?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he'll probably get
When does that
Steelbook.
drop?
October 17th.
Oh, okay.
See, it's fall. Fall's the best month.
And then, by the way, yeah, I am counting down the days to Baby Driver. I cannot wait to buy that Blu-ray.
It's funny because you're like trigger happy to buy the digital
digital
download.
copy.
I'm like, just wait because
I'm like,
when
I
you
just wanna
buy
watch it
it,
again.
you'll get the digital 2 weeks. I'm like, you'll get it. You'll get it.
Still like 2 weeks away though, and I'm on Apple TV, and I'm like, oh, there's Baby Driver
You
right
could
there.
do this. You could do this.
I could buy it right now,
Make it. You can make it.
but I'm not. I'm waiting.
You'll get both for the price of one.
I know. I'm being good. I'm sure I'll get a Baby Driver Steelbook, but whatever.
And that's fine, but it feels silly for you to be like I feel like I would have to smack you.
I
If
know.
you literally did
wow.
the
Smack me.
download and spent $20 for the digital,
She
and then
comes
next
over
week,
and I'm watching the digital
and then
copy,
next
and she
week
just
she
slaps
drops
me.
$30
Right?
2 weeks later, and he's got the steelbook, and I'm gonna be like, you spent $50 on this freaking. I would slap you.
I did that with. Well, actually, I didn't do. I was gonna say I did that with Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, but actually I didn't because I bought the digital copy, and I ended up getting the steelbook, but it was a gift. I got it for like
right.
Christmas that year.
Oh,
Anyway,
there you go.
so it worked out. So I guess I've never done that. Anyway.
Well, you shouldn't start.
I almost did it with Dawn of Justice, but yeah, I never bought the Blu-ray for that. For Batman vs
So I'm
Superman.
actually surprised you haven't brought up something. Did you not see the Jumanji trailer, the second one? I mean, come on,
Nope,
like that's
nope.
That's right. That's right up your alley, isn't
I
it?
did not. I did not watch the second
even
one.
watch it?
No, I don't. I'm good. Super good. All good. Good.
She's all in. She's all in. That's why she didn't need to watch the
I
second one.
don't need to watch it.
I don't need to watch that
I know
shit.
what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You're boycotting it all just like you did Beauty and the Beast. I got it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's totally what's happening here. Yeah.
I'll say I watched the trailer and I'm like, it could be entertaining. I don't know. It looks like it could be kind of fun.
Nice.
It's so bad because I thought the same thing, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll watch it.
So when it becomes available to rent, like at home, like for home rent, we're gonna have a drinking game night and we'll rent it, and that'll be awesome. And that's when I will watch it.
No, I mean, I'll still have a hard time, paying money to see it in the theater.
Oh,
but
I'm not.
I don't know. I watched the trailer and I was like,
Yeah.
it could be fun.
I'm sure there are other.
You shrug your shoulders and you're like, a couple of shots and a couple of beers. Yeah, I'll go watch that movie.
Do this.
I feel like there's got to be something else of quality coming out that weekend and the weekend following it. I'm just saying.
I'll be curious to see when that time comes.
Well, we will see, but I feel like I have hopes that God, something will interject and make that weekend much better.
Right.
Anyways.
All right. Before we do I Challenge You, real quick, because we don't really have any time, but if there's anything anyone has watched that you're like, oh my God, I have to tell you about this, here's your time. Otherwise, anyone got anything that they're just dying to discuss?
I'm going to say this. I don't know if you have. If anybody else is watching The Strain, that show is so damn good. It is so damn good. I still am just thoroughly enjoying it, and I am involved. I missed last week's because I was out of town, so I had to catch up. But that show is just so damn good. Are you still watching it, Bobby?
No.
Dude, you are.
Reason being is because I watched last week, and that was the series finale, so don't need to watch anymore because there is no more to watch.
I missed last week. So last week was the series finale, wasn't it? Like that's kind of disappointing. So I'm the last episode that I missed is the one that I really need to see, which is kind of really bummed out. I have to try and find it now. But I thoroughly enjoyed that show. That was such a fun show. That was it. That was all mine.
Bobby, it sounded like you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not really watching anything that I'm dying to talk about, but I can really briefly talk about a couple things real quick. I've been on an HBO kick, and so, like I mentioned, I watched Big Little Lies, and also decided to pick up The Deuce, which is with James Franco, and he's playing twins in this, and it's with David Simon as one of the creators who also did The Wire and Treme, and it's about this guy, and Maggie Gyllenhaal is in it as well. And it takes place in New York City during the 70s and 80s when porn and prostitution was running rampant. And it's hard to say exactly what the show is about just yet. It's only had 2 episodes, and they've both been sort of furthering the story along. But so far I'm into it, and it already got picked up for a second season by HBO. So if you're interested in a new HBO show to give a try, I'd say check out The Deuce. And the other one that I started watching is one that for years and years I kept hearing good things about. I initially watched the first episode when it came on and just never really followed it. I dropped off of it pretty quick because I never even saw the second episode. And I just started again, maybe I think it was last week with the first episode again. So that show is The Leftovers. And I don't know if you guys have watched it or any of you have seen it at all or heard about it, but it was a show that seemed to be really loved, especially more or less once the second season started, more so than the first season. But from that season on, it seemed to be really, really enjoyed by the people who watched it and kind of swear by it. So I started that up again, and hopefully I'll be able to get that complete series binged at some point in time before, I'm thinking maybe before October, because my plan is to just sort of watch an episode a day or 2 episodes a day to try and watch the whole series.
Yeah, I had started binging Leftovers a while ago, and I just almost finished the first season of it, and I was pretty hooked. But then, life gets in the way. But yeah, Leftovers that's a solid TV show for sure. Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move into our final little segment here, and that is I Challenge You. We each episode one person will challenge another person to watch something that they haven't seen before for whatever reason. Either they didn't want to see it, either they just never got the chance. Who knows why? But and then after that person, kind of says their piece on what they watched, then they challenge the next person. And I was challenged last episode by Yasha to watch something. But first, I want to say, so it's been a short run for this new segment, and I have to say we've been pretty nice to each other.
We have. There's been some kindness.
There's been some kindness. What have we reviewed so far? We've had, among the four of us, we've watched Looper, Oblivion, Some Like It Hot, Grand Budapest Hotel, and The Host. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
And I think we all agree. Some we like more than others, but for the most part, we've all liked these movies.
Pretty solid films.
We're all pretty happy
quality.
with these movies.
Pretty quality. The level put out, production-wise, the actual storyline, all of it, pretty quality films.
And then
Where are you going?
And then
where are you going with this?
I sat down and I watched my movie this week, and that was Sleepwalkers. This is a film based on a Stephen King book. It was released back in 1992. Anybody who directed it? No, you probably don't know who he is. Mick Garris directed this film.
Is that like Mick G, or is that just Mick?
That'd be funny, right? Mick, M-I-C-K, Mick.
Okay.
What's the description of this film, you ask? I'll read directly from IMDb. It's pretty short. A mother and son team of strange supernatural creatures move to a small town to seek out a young virgin to feed on.
Damn virgins.
I want to ask, because I honestly can't remember. Yasha, you challenged me.
I'm surprised you never saw this movie, David.
No, I never saw it. So I couldn't remember, because I guess last episode, basically, the theme seemed to be we had been talking about it. So, Yasha, you felt like, hey, I'm going to challenge you to watch a Stephen King movie. And we actually kind of
really all it was, David. There was no malicious intent whatsoever.
Well.
Okay, that's really all it was. Because I don't want this to transpire and turn into this huge battle. It's like, I challenge you to watch this epically horrible movie from 1940. It wasn't anything malicious or intent. I genuinely just wanted you to watch a Stephen King movie that you hadn't seen before.
Well, but you had seen it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right? Had you seen it? Or did you just kind of randomly pick it?
Oh, no, I've seen it.
Okay. No, this movie was pretty terrible. And this movie wasn't terrible for the most part, this movie wasn't terrible in oh my God, I'm kind of loving how terrible this is. Because I will say, horror movies in that vein are right up my alley. Like, I'm all for really terrible, bad, effects horror films that are just like, oh my God, let's all get together, have some drinks, and watch this terrible movie. This is going to be awesome.
Mystery Science Theater through that.
Yeah. This was not that. This kind of seemed like it was trying to be that, like, kind of poking fun of itself almost, kind of thing, but it misses the mark. No, it's not good. I will say it's kind of entertaining to see the people that pop up in this movie. It's got its fair share of actors that you would know. I will say one actress in the movie, it took me a little while to realize who the hell she was, and it clicked. The mother in the movie, for the longest time in the movie, she's just very whatever she is with her son, which is a very interesting situation.
There's a lot of love there.
But then you get this one scene when she finally first meets the virgin that they're looking to feed on, and she's a much cheerier, different person than you had seen. And once you start to see a smile on her face, I'm like, oh fuck, that's the Borg Queen. I had no idea this was her. That kind of clicked. Very early in the film, I was thrown off. The very first scene in the movie, you got these two cops, and this one cop, he just looks so silly, and he's wearing these big aviator glasses. I think he had like a mustache, and they're investigating a crime scene with all these cats. And then he takes his glasses off, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Mark Hamill. What the fuck? And then throughout the movie,
I'm just gonna go out and say it, David. You're welcome. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say. There you go.
Ron Perlman shows up in the movie, which was funny. I wasn't expecting that. Who else? There's little cameos from like Clive Barker's like a forensic tech in the film.
Yeah.
Barker pops in.
Yeah.
The director, what's
John
his name?
Landis is in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
John Land, and of course, Steven makes his debut.
yeah, Stephen
Yeah.
King is in the
Debut.
movie.
Yeah, he pops in all his movies.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
mean,
his
is
thing.
that the first movie he was in?
No, I didn't mean to say debut. I'm sorry. I just
Oh.
Stephen pops in. It's his normal. I have to have my own
Gotcha.
Stephen King cameo. I didn't mean to say
Yeah.
debut. My bad. Bad
Oh, yeah,
choice
yeah,
of words.
you were-
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I watched.
How was
and no, it was not. This was not good. It ended, and I'm like, really? This oh man.
Now, in watching this atrocity of a film, would you say that there is actually maybe behind it a decent book that Stephen wrote, or is it kind of a shit book story as well?
That's the thing. Right early in the movie when you see this relationship between the mother and the son, and you kind of wonder what's going on. There's part of me that it feels like a Stephen King book, and I've read Stephen King books, and I am a fan. I've liked almost everything I've read of his. Not that I've read a lot, but I've read a few, and I can't help but feel like there was probably a decent read here. You know, if I had
Right.
read this book, this seems like this. You know, obviously Sleepwalkers I don't think is considered one of his greater achievements, but
Creme de la creme here.
but at the same time, I could imagine that as a book, this might actually be an interesting read. But as a movie, this was not interesting. this was. I found myself watching this
Yeah, and
and
that's
going,
kind of.
"What
I mean,
did
it
I?
had to come from a book.
What
It
did
had
I?"
to come from a book that somebody thought that was good to a point. Like,
Right.
hey, this will make
Right.
a really interesting, fun story. Or it could have been just in that time frame where Stephen King. I mean, not that he's not hot now, but it's like they were
he's real
making
hot,
a lot
yeah.
of his movies at one point. What's that?
No, I was just saying, oh yeah, he's real hot now. It seems like he's got at least 4 or 5 different projects going on, whether it's on TV or if it's in the movies right now. It's super hot right now.
Well, I mean, and you said this was a 92 film, and that is kind of a time frame when a lot of his books were getting turned into made-for-TV films or even just really bad B films. Like, it was happening. Like, the early 90s, his books to film were pretty hot.
Right,
Like,
right.
that was happening for sure. You know, it was in one way or another. You know, like it was, what was the airplane one? That one was a made-for-TV. That was
Langoliers, I think.
yeah, that was actually pretty decent. Now I'm saying that, and it was in the 90s, and I was a kid, so I thought it was pretty good. But, yeah, it was kind of an era for him to have all of his books made in some format into a visual way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that was the first bomb.
I was watching it and I was thinking, what did I do to Yasha? Why
Right.
did he make me watch this? I
mean,
I
we all
paid
knew-
money to rent this.
We all knew the day would come when somebody would just get handed a bomb. Like, we knew it
Yeah.
would happen someday. I will say I wasn't thinking it was going to happen so soon.
David, and I apologize.
It's okay.
As
buddy.
I said, this wasn't a malicious act. There's no need to go and retaliate in any way, shape, or form.
Are you
I
frightened?
want that to be clear.
Because now the
More
ball.
a celebration of where we've been to where we're going when it comes to Stephen King
Right.
on film.
Right.
All right. Well, with that, it is now my turn
Balls in David's court now.
to challenge someone. And the thing about this whole segment is like we're not always exactly sure if I'm going to challenge you to something and if you have seen it or not. So this is going to involve a little trial and error and see if the first idea I have here is something you guys have seen or not. And I'm looking at you, Bobby, and you, Yasha, because so far you guys have watched the least. I think you guys have only watched one thing so far each with this segment. So
Correct.
I'm gonna go to you first, Bobby. And ask if you have seen a movie, and I'm gonna say that I watched as you said, Michelle, we're kind of going into horror movie season. Halloween's coming up,
It's almost October, man.
so I got to watch Sleepwalkers, and I'd like to stay with the horror movie theme if at all possible
For the month. See what happens.
Yeah. And Bobby, you like horror movies, so there's a very good chance you have seen this. But if you have, maybe Yasha, you haven't. We'll see. But Bobby, have you ever seen a little film called a little film directed by a quite huge director, and that would be Peter Jackson? And have you seen Dead Alive?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, there you go. Bobby, I challenge you to watch Dead
Yash
Alive.
just laughing. He's like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus."
Yeah, that's really where I'm at right now. I'm just like,
I've totally escaped getting totally screwed. Yay!
No,
I've heard of Dead Alive. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but hey, I'm down to watch it
Here's your
because I
chance.
do enjoy horror. So
Well, this is going to be a treat. Let me tell you.
If you guys could see David's face right now, it is borderline giddy. Like there is a twinkle in his eye, and I'm like, wow, I'm really happy I escaped this week.
I remember the poster.
I will say, like, I actually really like Dead Alive. Dead Alive definitely falls into the vein of a horror film that you're going to watch this and be like, holy shit, what the fuck is happening? And it takes gore to a whole new level, I think. And
Oh god.
this is some good shit, man. Peter
I'm sorry.
Drag-
I'm looking at the IMDb profile, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't get this fucking movie. I do horror just fine, but sometimes with the gore, I'm just like, I can't. With the, just blatant gore.
I'm with you, Yasha. I enjoy horror, but sometimes the gore gets me sometimes.
Right. So yeah, and the funny thing is, this was released in the same year, 1992. So
Yeah.
Oh my god, this should be amazing. Oh Jesus.
Dead Alive, Bobby. That's all yours.
cool. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I don't mind gore. There's very few movies that have gore that bother me. Although it depends on what's happening, because the Saw movies can be pretty torturous. But the one movie that comes to mind, I can't remember if it was Hostel or Hostel 2 or whatever, but I remember there was this character that was trying to escape from some place, and there was something attached to the character's tendons, and it started ripping out from the back of the tendons.
Right. Yes.
It was pretty gnarly. It was hard to watch.
I can't even hear that right now. Do you understand?
I think that was a Hostel movie. I think that might have been the first Hostel.
Oh my god.
It was pretty rough stuff.
Yeah.
But mostly I could handle gore pretty well though.
Yeah. And I will say the gore in this is not a Hostel type horror. A Hostel was like the kind of movie that you go into like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to watch this because it's going to be excruciating. Like I know I'm going to deal with people having their fingernails pulled off and stuff that is just like, oh my god, I can't take it. Dead Alive is comical gore.
Okay, yeah.
It is. Yeah. I mean, there is blood, fake blood in record amounts in this movie, but it's not done in a way I think that you would be like, oh my god, it's not realistic is what I'm saying.
Right.
See, like I've watched and I like Rob Zombie movies, but House of a Thousand Corpses, yeah, man, that was a bit much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one actually.
I will admit I never saw it. I've always
kind of been interested in it.
Yeah, same here.
And you know, it's funny because for me, like, I feel like I like horror films, but I unfortunately get queasy sometimes. And sometimes I don't. Like, there's times I'm shocked and I'm like, wow, this didn't affect me at all. And other times I'm like, I think I'm going to throw up.
Right.
And like, and I mean, I'll say, I'm sure a lot of that comes down to like my blood sugar for the day or something stupid like that, where it's actually just a chemical thing and my brain's reacting. And like, I know it's all fake, but you know, like it gets to you. And I'm sure it's like, oh, I haven't really eaten very well today. And oh yeah, whatever I have eaten, that's coming up. Awesome.
Wow.
But I will say, like, you know, there's times I've seen things I've been like, oh, it makes me kind of queasy. But there's only one film that's really made me like go, I need to step away from this. I physically need to step away from this, and I need to go catch some oxygen outside of this room. I'm about to pass out, and that was actually the first Saw film.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I can literally pinpoint the scene that I literally was like, because I watched it at home. I never even saw it in the theater. I watched it at home. And I mean, I can tell you the scene that actually made my stomach just, I mean, like I felt my body, I felt like I was pulling into, you know, the vortex, like sound got fuzzy, like my peripheral vision faded away. Like I felt myself about to pass out. Like I was literally there. And it was the scene actually where the girl is describing her being in the headpiece and escaping the headpiece. And I don't know why, but that got in my freaking head. like hard in my head. And again, like maybe I didn't eat that well
That's
that
the
day or
second one, I
something.
believe.
No, the first one.
No, it's the first one
It was,
because I've never seen any of the others.
Where it's in her mouth, the reverse bear trap.
Yeah. The reverse bear trap. And I remember like I made it through the whole scene, and then I was like, pause, and I got up and went to my bathroom and had to splash water on my face. My friend was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I'm going to pass out. And I think I literally like fell against the wall, slid down to the ground, and sat there and was like, I'm trying not to pass out. And then I watch other films, you know, that just do not. And like, there's times I've watched them and been like, wow, this has zero effect on me. Like, it's not making me feel weird or anything like that. So I guess for me, it's kind of hit and miss. It's kind of, the sad part is like, I never know when I'm going to feel that way when I watch horror movies, but I like them.
Look at that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm showing her a picture from Dead Alive.
Oh, Bobby.
Yeah.
You were in for a treat.
I really hope so. I'm hoping.
Oh, Bobby.
It's funny when for anyone who was only really introduced to Peter Jackson once they saw Lord of the Rings and they really never knew his work before that,
I'm scrolling the photos. This is amazing.
You would go back and watch Dead Alive and you're like, the guy that made Lord of the Rings made this shit. Like, this is not, what the fuck is this? It's hilarious. But anyway.
That's funny.
So,
and before we get out of
ahead.
here, I just want to say pretty soon, possibly as soon as next week, I'll be watching a lot more movies because my movie pass is coming in the mail next week.
Did the movie pass.
Oh, you did it, huh?
I did do it. Yep. So
You have to let me know how it goes, Bobby.
definitely I will be reporting in full. So I'm hoping to get to see a lot of the movies that are still on the marquee that I wanted to see that I just haven't had a chance to and be playing catch up.
Yeah, I used to be a movie pass member back like when it first started. I did it for like a year or more, I think. And that was, I forget how much it cost then. Because before this recent price drop, but it was like $50 a month, wasn't it?
Well, it started at something like 20 or 30.
That's what I'm
then
saying.
they raised
But
it.
in more recent times, I think it was like 50. But
Yeah,
I think when I
I think it
did
went
it,
up
it was
to
like
50.
20, 25 a month. So it was way more doable. I don't remember why I dumped it. I think maybe I got to that point where I wasn't able to see enough movies to make it worth it. But anyway.
Nowadays it's $10 and you can see a movie every day, so it's really worth it if you just see 2 movies.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear how that goes for you.
Yeah, that's true. Shit.
But yeah, with that, it is time for us to get out of
It
here.
is.
As always, we would love to hear back from anyone listening. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions or comments. Also, check us out on social media. We have accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the good stuff. If you're looking for links to those accounts, just go to our website, flickereffect.com, and look over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.